Okay, and now we're on our final chapter, our third chapter of the book. And very special to me, two of the presenters are two of the people who have worked very hard together with me to plan this event. And Janice Hurd and Anne Griffith. So let's give them applause as well. Thank you. And that's not an easy task, probably a lot more difficult than writing your novels, right? But yeah, so thank you very much. We have, for our first readers in Chapter 3, Reverend Dr. Ed and Janice Hurd, who have served together in pastoral ministry for over 40 years here in the Lower Mainland. Ed is the award-winning author of Battle for the Soul of Canada. Their books, For Better, For Worse, Discovering the Keys to a Lasting Relationship, and God's Firestarter have received many testimonials. Ed and Janice have been active members of our Surrey Christian Writers, and Janice has, as I said, been working with us on our committee to put this celebration together. So we look forward now. Janice is going to come to read a selection of from their book, God's Firestarter.
So first, Ed thought, wow, we'll just do the ministers. And I said, well, what about their wives? So we have things here that are also about the wives. And this one was the mother. This is a 5 minutes worth of Susannah Wesley, Mother on Fire. So she was the son. Her son was John Wesley. And Charles Wesley, who wrote many, if you know the old hymns, he wrote many of the old hymns. Pulling her apron over her head was Susannah Wesley's way of saying that she needed a break. She taught her 10 children that she was not to be disturbed 1 hour a day for her personal devotions. Born in 1669, Susannah Wesley was one of the greatest mothers who ever lived, raising up two of Christianity's most gifted leaders, John and Charles Wesley. As the mother of the Methodist revival, who methodically instilled in her children a passion for discipleship and learning, while only 10 of her 19 children survived to adulthood, she poured her life into them, raising up 3 sons, Samuel, John, and Charles, to become pastors. Of her 9 children who died as infants, 4 were sets of twins, and the maid rolled over the one that wasn't and accidentally suffocated them when she was sleeping. You can imagine the pain and grief that Susannah experienced from this. Susannah believed each child was equally valuable and had an uncanny way of making each know they were important. Some authors even see her as the mother of the homeschooling movement. In an age when many parents only educated their sons, Susannah also taught all of her 7 surviving daughters to read, write, and reason. She instructed all of her children for 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon. Her children began and ended each school day by singing a psalm and then reading from the Bible. Remarkably, she spent 1 hour a week with each of her children in personal instruction. Her educational goal was that on her last day of life, she would be able to say, "Lord, here are the children which thou hast given me, of which I have lost none by my ill example, not by neglecting to install into their minds in their early years the principles of the true religion and virtue." When Susannah failed to find adequate Christ-centered textbooks for children, she decided to write her own. Her first book, A Manual of Natural Theory, looked at how the natural universe revealed God as creator. Her second book was an exposition of the Apostles' Creed, looking at the essentials of the Christian faith. Her third book opened up the practical implications of the 10 Commandments for daily living. As both the daughter and the wife of a clergyman, Susan understood the financial challenges of pastoral ministry. There was never enough money to feed and clothe the children properly. Her husband, Reverend Samuel Wesley, the underpaid rector, of Epworth and Rote, was always in debt, and even ended up twice in debtor's prison. Susannah offered to pawn her own wedding ring so that he could get out of prison, but her husband declined her offer. Because of Susannah's refusal to say Amen to her husband's 1701 prayer for the new king, William of Orange, he abandoned his wife. John, the 15th child, and Charles, the 18th child of 19, were almost not conceived. She was loyal to the Scottish Stuart kings, as Susannah saw the new King William as a usurper. Her husband left home, refusing to return. "We must part, for if we have 2 kings, we must have 2 beds." Imagine after all those children. Samuel only returned and reconciled after their house burnt down. Being very outspoken, her husband had many enemies during his 39 years in Epworth. Some of these opponents destroyed the Wesleys' crops, stabbed their cows, attacked their dog, and set their house on fire in 1702. When the house was burnt down for a second time in 1709, 6-year-old John Wesley was miraculously rescued from the fire. Susannah used to speak of her son John, Jackie, as her brand plucked from the burning. Following the fire, she made a pledge, "I do intend to be more especially careful of the soul of this child." While her husband was away in 1711, she started Sunday evening devotions for her children and attracted many of the neighbors. Last Sunday, I believe we had about 200 at our house, and yet many went away for want of room to stand. The replacement to Samuel was deeply offended that far more people went to Susannah's devotional prayers than his Sunday morning service. This was not proper behavior for a respectable Church of England clergyman's wife. Responding by letter to her concerned husband, she wrote, "As to its looking peculiar, I grant that it does, and so does almost anything that is serious, or that may in any way advance the glory of God or the salvation of souls." Later, when her son John Wesley preached to tens of thousands, he fondly recalled the early revival that happened with his mother's Sunday evening devotions.
Wow.
Thank you so much.